Today's Saturday, August 25th, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Seed Broadcast System, the Forbidden History Series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Lynn, Sandra, good to have you. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History Series. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time, 7 days a week, right here on realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the realpublicradio.net Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in the heart of Amish country and Free America Radio Network, in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History Series, the great lies of history, the original gospel, the words that kill, the piracy of words, symbolism, the ABCs of light, the duality revealed in patterns and pictures in nature. And that includes everything. And the movie and book reviews, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right here. We are the deprogramming program. It's what they didn't want you to know, of course, that we tell right here. Because it is the battle for the mind. The truth is light, but ignorance is a deep, thick darkness. There's nothing there. And these are the great antagonists, the one against the other. And once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing more to complain about. We just have to learn how to deal with the hand that has been dealt, ladies and gentlemen, and to overcome with the victory of light. Because there is only one power, and that power is the light. And those in the darkness have no power. It's an illusion. It's the great illusion. And you don't know what you're missing. And you don't know what you know until you tune in to the broadcast. For all of things the great civilizations can create, the only thing that they cannot create is light. And if you don't know where you're going, then you obviously don't have a light guiding you, and any road will get you there. And that's a long, hard road and a dead end. And the best way to identify the truth is simply to identify the great lies of history. Because in the beginning is the Word, and the Word is the Shavor, the Savior, the shower, the sower, the sword, the royal flaming sword of light. And the Shavor is Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, the royal center. And it takes a million lies to cover that first lie, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night, and trying to make lemonade out of the lemons that they've dealt with us all of our lives. They've just love to feed us their papal bull, and in the end we're left empty and high and dry. And it's a It's a world of illusion and deception and heartache, betrayal. What can't we talk about in regard to that? Remember the struggle right at the beginning. The man was pointing at the woman, and the woman was pointing at the man, and they're pointing at each other, saying, "Wait a minute, this guy's the problem right here," and he's saying, "No, she's the problem over there." No, and ever since then, man and woman have been in a great struggle, and only when they can come to the great peacemaker and know who they really are in nature, in the supernatural, then they can actually find peace, because we were meant to come together, but we are at odds with each other, and because men and women are as different as night and day, right? To use a cliche, because we're made differently, we look different, and so we're different animals in that literal sense, right? But not as far as spirit goes. But spirit is basically the same. It's just and the whole time was the Rothschilds. The whole time was, well, they're a part of the problem, no doubt. They're in the grand illusion. Yeah, they create the illusions, don't they? They create all the wars. Sure, Sandra, I got you. Okay, and so we've got a good program today for you. And Ya Love is not going to be with us today to read the original gospel. She's not able to make it, so I've got plenty of ground to cover here. So no worries, as they say down under, or is it now down over? Okay, it could be. We could have all flipped. We wouldn't even know it, right? So I want to just talk real quick about ownership, because the truth is, I woke up this morning thinking about ownership, and I realized what I've known, but it's like, okay, but looking at it again, yeah, and the truth is, we don't own anything, right? We don't own anything. We think we do, but we are just simply in possession of some things that ultimately we will have to relinquish. We own nothing. In fact, it is more likely that the things that we have own us. Uh, so I know a lady that's been wanting to be set free for practically a decade, and she's owned by her houses, and can't get rid of them. Can't unload them, and it's rather tragic, to be caught up in a legal web that doesn't allow you to be free. Well, we all did that in a way, right? When we got our birth certificates and we um, became indentured slaves, known as peonage. And good morning, Ninja. I'm glad you're here. And so yeah, we're actually owned. In fact, the earth owns us. We received our body on loan, and we have to give it back to the earth one day. And it goes buried back in the ground, goes back where it belongs, because the body can't transcend. Only the spirit can transcend. I still perceive that wherever we go when we leave here, beyond the sun is only 0 point, but it's no doubt beyond the universe, wherever it is that we ultimately transcend. I think Crazy Horse said it best. He said, "This world is only a shadow of the real world." Okay, that's a classic quote by Crazy Horse. He was betrayed by his own people. He was stabbed in the back and killed. He never put the pen to the treaty. He was that's why I like Crazy Horse. He was a purist. Um, but this world is only a reflection of something greater. Hey, Diane up there from the UK, glad to have you. Wondering where you've been. Hope you're doing all right. Hope your dad's doing okay. And so um, therefore, I perceive that we probably will have perhaps a body like our youth wherever we go, but it will certainly be of a whole nother nature, and that's all I can imagine, because I know we're spirit, but still, it's likely that we'll have the ability to recognize each other where we go, and have some type of physical character that but maybe comes and goes, like in the story with Yeshua. He's there one moment, gone, and somewhere else, right? I mean, it's we're on the road to being one with the Great Spirit, and therefore, if we're one with the Great Spirit, well, that's quite a bit of energy that goes around, isn't it? I mean, come on. In fact, that goes right into what I was going to talk about with the symbolism. because that sun up in the sky, actually, and I just saw it this morning as if for the first time, even though I know it's a symbol of the atom, which was corrupted into Eden, but the sun actually is a symbol of the first atom. Okay, that's what it's a symbol. The sun is a symbol of the first atom, and that's why it was called the Garden of Atoms, right? Is it not a garden of atoms? The whole thing is made of atoms. How many atoms are in there? It's called Zen. It's not possible to ever know the number because it is such a high number, far more than all the sand on the beaches in the world. Because look how big that atom is, right? And those atoms are flowing down every day. Every day from the garden of the atom comes life-giving resource, energy unto our being. Okay? So we have to see things in metaphor and symbol, and get out of the left brain into the right brain, which is the creative, the artistic, and the infinite side of our mind. The right side is the light side, the side that's on the light. Actually, we have to bring both hemispheres together in the great mystery. Just a moment. So, but in this regard to ownership, we're supposed to be. We're told we're supposed to be as the little ones, right? Children is a bad word, so I try to avoid it. So little ones, and Anna, good to have you. Hadn't seen you for a couple of days, I think. Great to have you. So be as the little ones, right? And so the little ones, what do they always like to do? They like to share, right? They always want to share what they got. Whereas when we get older, then we somehow forget the element of, and all of a sudden it's like, gimme, 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 and that's that power trip, right? That we see the classic in the government rulers, right? The psychopaths that got all the money they need, therefore they don't need car is not an issue or house not an issue, but now the issue is more power, more power, more power, head trip. So it reminded me of a story when I was getting ready for the program this morning when I was in kindergarten, and I I was in kindergarten, and so I guess I don't remember what the time was, but I would guess it was probably the Christmas time, and although I haven't followed Christmas since I became a young adult, but at the time, of course, growing up, we did. And so I remember being in the kindergarten school in New Brunswick, New Jersey, right above in the top floor of the firehouse. We actually had our kindergarten in our Catholic school for the kindergarten, right above the fire engines, right there. And Mrs. Brennan, I still remember her too. I'm a music teacher and nice lady. And so, but I remember that everybody got a gift. And they had to unwrap it, of course, and then I got mine, and it was like my favorite. It was Army Men. Army Men. Boy, did I like playing Army. I had my Vic Morrow from Combat. The old TV series, Vic Morrow machine gun. I'd crank back on that thing and just let it rip. And Martha, good morning. And so then the boy, I was just me and another boy at my table, and he got, and I'm trying to remember this accurately because I'm sure, and he got the crayons. He got the box of 56 colors of Crayola crayons or whatever it is, right? And he's just crying. He's crying like nobody's business. And I'm, and I'm looking at my arm because he's not happy. He got just crayons, right? And so I'm looking at my Army Men thinking, man, I really love Army Men. But you know what? If it'll make him happy, I'll give him my Army Men and I'll take the crayons. So I said, do you want my can I give you my my bag of Army Men and I'll get your you can give me your crayons, and he's still crying. No, he didn't even want to trade. He was obviously a very unhappy little boy. but I found it so symbolic for me, and like even what I'm doing today, that it was symbolic of something in my life that we're dealing with today in our profound world, right? This symbolism and metaphor, because I was willing to give up the Army Men, to play battle, to play warfare, and I wanted the colors. I actually would have been happy to take the colors of the rainbow and to and to figure out how I could color something without a coloring book, So so anyway, I just see that as so symbolic in my life that I had that little experience, and and so yeah, life is rather interesting at times, isn't it? And so, okay, that's my story for today, and we're one little great life history for everybody. This thing about going to hell, okay? So, and I think I've touched on this before, but I don't remember, and I thought it's a good one because people have been terrorized by Babylon, a la the Vatican, because they are one and the same. The Vatican is basically the full-grown Babylon, because Babylon was a baby lion, and now the full-grown lion became the Vatican, and with the Roman Empire. So, so this thing about going to hell. Hell means the grave. Sheol means the grave. That's the Hebrew. The Hades is the grave. That's in the Greek, and hell in the English is the grave. So all of the, and Pluto also means the grave also, and that's why it's the last planet way out there, right? Because as far as you can get in the grave. And so the whole thing about being tortured forever and ever and ever. This is purely a Catholic intrusion, and it was also supported by Dante. Dante, who wrote Dante's Tragedy, among other things, and he describes graphically to just put more terror in people how you'll be hung up by your tongue or pierced through with hot irons, and while you're in a raging fire, and just never ending, never ending. You'll have to drink molten garbage down your throat, all of this stuff, just nonsense, And just so, who is our great Father? Is he not the divine love? Where in the world does anybody get the idea, and it's certainly not in the Old Covenant, of this burning throughout the eternity, the fire that's being referred to in the everlasting New Covenant, is the fire that's out there right now. That if you're not in Yeshua, in the covenant relationship in the light, then if you're out there, then you're out in the outer darkness where there's weeping and the clenching of teeth. That's the outer darkness and the trials by fire that never end. Isn't it true that wars never end? That child abuse, especially by the occultic, never ends. Child sacrifice and sexual abuse. Isn't it true that people just can't get along? That the man and woman have been fighting from the beginning of time? That's the grave. That's the hell out there. That's the fire. That's the fire. The sun is shining down. That's the judgment of fire. You see, but the divine love, just like we know our Father, our earthly Father, like the microcosm is like the macrocosm like the microcosm. We know that our parent, unless they were absolutely jerks, and some people got those. But for the most part, we know that our Father would never want us tortured forever. I felt so bad. I was happy, and I felt so bad at the same time. I brought my daughter into this world that I said, I got to make sure I give her the truth so that she can escape this piece of garbage, And so she was my big inspiration. I went after the truth because I brought her into the world. Now I had to help her get out of it. And so I wanted to make sure that I knew that I knew that I knew. And so that's that's how it all happened. My daughter is my big inspiration. So we have to be set free, come out of the outer darkness and the fire that never ends that's out there, and come into Yeshua, into the fresh water of truth and enlightenment. And then, yes, you'll still be tried by fire, but it's another type of fire that where it says that he will never let you be tested beyond that which you are capable of handling. And then when you come through that fire of the test, then ultimately you can receive the great breath of the wind and fire and transcend this world. It's all part of the great mystery, but it is all right there in our scriptures. So so I wanted to share that with people because that's a lousy rap to put on people. Guess what? That's what they wanted to do with the Vatican. Terrorize people. Come on, you're going to burn forever. And so at least try to get in purgatory. You can give us your indulgence. Just give us a donation, and then we'll give you the indulgence, and you just have to stay in purgatory for maybe 1,000 years or something like that. But then you get out, and then you go You know, you go to heaven. Oh, wow. Okay, I think I'll take that. How much do you need? Okay, $50. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, I don't go to hell now. Whoa, I got my ticket right here. Ain't I a lucky guy? You know, and it's interesting. You know, you watch some of the on YouTube. You can watch the story of Martin Luther, and you'll see that story. If you're not from up on that, just watch the there's an old classic and then a newer one. Both are great. I love both of them on Martin Luther. Okay, and how the Catholic Church is putting out the indulgences. Yeah, wonderful world, Mr. Smith. So anyway, we're in the Gospel of Tolma, and we're going to be talking about that serpent again, and about creation here in just a second. But we're going to do our read out of the Nag Hammadi Library, and want to welcome our new listeners and welcome Hans to the broadcast and everybody out there out in the outer darkness. It's a tough world. I mean, come on, they're poisoning our skies. We got a fake sun, and we're not getting the picture of what's behind that. Is it an eclipse? I don't know, but we're definitely in trouble because our world is crashing. Did you see Friday night? Dane Wigington had a great 20-minute presentation. He did. I recommend you see it. And then today he'll be on again. But he hammered Friday night on the on a special he did for about 20 minutes on our world implosion. You know, yeah, our world implosion. That's right. So we're in this together, ladies and gentlemen. And the only good news is that this is not our world, and therefore we can transcend. We are eternal beings. We are spirit, and we just have to get away from the illusions. So let's go into verse 11 now in the star message of Tolma. Okay, and and of course, if the T is silent in Tolma, then it's the Om. And the A can be silent, by the way, as well. Yeah, of course. The A is because the T and the A are both sound and silent, depending upon when you use them. And they're what's in the middle? Om. Om for the sound. And then what do they make with that atomic bomb? They make the big sound. The Om, the atom, the atom. So anyway, going into the and the AT, by the way, is the symbol of creation. So atom, therefore, means the sounds of creation. The atom, the creation sounds, actually, in that regard. And backwards, atom backwards is mota, which is the prime root of motor. That's the primordial motor. And there's what is the motor? The atom. The atom is the motor. Without the atom, we wouldn't have a creation that we could see. So the atom is the motor, you see? That's how the anagram works. Isn't that sweet when you can get those pictures? So in 11, Yeshua breathed. This cosmos will pass away, and the one above it will pass away. And so that's a pretty short one here. It's got yeah, okay, that's okay. I got plenty to read here. This I'm going to do a special, of course. I'm going to go back into the Acts of Tolma. The Acts of Tolma, that's I do on Saturday, so that's coming up, part 3. And so anyway, yeah, so everything is temporary in this world. Everything passes away. And what has a beginning has an end. And what has a beginning is matter. And that's the mother. And that's why when the last week, Yeshua, when he was going into Jerusalem, then he was betrayed. When he was going into Bethany and he was hanging out with his good friend Lazar, then Mary was anointing his feet with the oil, and Judas begrudged him for the expensive ointment, and he says, "Leave her alone." This thing, and it's not properly transliterated because the translator didn't have the picture. But this thing that she has done will be written about as her for a memorial. Well, she, who is she? She is the woman, capital T, capital W. This thing that the woman hath done will be written about as her for a memorial. Okay, so woman is being honored in the role that she played to bring forth the baby. The baby is creation itself. Creation itself, because it is all female, all Elohim, In the corrupted terminology, it's Olav Haim or Olive Haim. There's the word olive, which means all live, or also the true life. In the olive, why? Because the olive is truth. The olive oil represents truth. And they don't teach this stuff at the pulpit. Isn't it amazing? So I'm in our dictionary of all scriptures and myths, and you've noticed how I proved out now within the mythologies of Mitzrayim, Pseudo-Egypt, and also in Greece, in Greek mythology, they're also preserving the original stories and the metaphors. Okay, they were preserving their own cultural identity. You know, what Aryan group was it that was preserving the story? The Greeks, the Mitzrayim, the Hebrews, they all, different Aryan groups, were preserving the legacy of where they came from, and it's a common story. And Ash, good to have you. Okay, friends dropping by. So I'm going to read now a story about Pandora. And did you know, of course, I hope you did, but you do now, that Pandora is the Greek version of Eve, right? She wanted to look in the box and see what was in it, and then she regretted it after that, right? That's the story of the fall. So let's see what it says in here about that. And I want to welcome any new listeners we have out there. And we have a wonderful group of people here every day, sharing hearts and love and good thoughts and prayers if you need them. Okay, and we're in a tough world, and we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, and you're welcome to join us. Okay, and we cover a lot of ground throughout the broadcast on some of the deeper stuff, not milk toast and then passing the hat type of thing. It is about life and death, ladies and gentlemen, and we all know where we are in our timeline right now with our world. Pandora, a symbol of the emotion nature which becomes allied with the lower mind. I'll read it again. A symbol of the emotion nature which becomes allied with the lower mind. And it's in parentheses, Epimetheus, and quote, Pandora, whom the Hebrews call Eve, and that's in Zosimus 26:14. When Prometheus had stolen the fire from the sun, Zeus, also known as the great god, in revenge, also known as the hidden woman, Zeus in revenge caused Hephaestus to make a woman out of earth. Okay, so it's parallel with Adam. He comes out of Eden, which is the atom. He came out of the sun and comes down to earth, and so he came out of the fire. Okay, and therefore when he wakes up, he sees his other half, and that's the woman. Okay, who by her charms and beauty should bring misery upon the earthly race. By her charms and beauty should bring misery upon the earthly race. In the house of Epimetheus, her husband. So Epimetheus is Adam. Okay, her husband, and get this, he was a closed jar. Okay, it says in the house of Epimetheus, her husband was a closed jar, meaning that there was something that was not supposed to be open. He was not supposed to, he had the fruit on him. You know what I'm saying? He's the tree of knowledge. The fruit is hanging on him. And also the serpent is in that tree. Another symbol of the serpent. And the micro versus the macro. If you get the picture. And so I'll try it again. In the house of Epimetheus, her husband was a closed jar, which he had been forbidden to open. So there is the story. If you do this thing, it will kill you. It will kill you. Okay? You want death or do you want life? Do you want to be up in the higher mind or down in the animal passion? Okay? That when and so he was given the choice. It's and we're given the picture that he was forbidden to do it, but I think it's more like he was given the choice. If you do this thing, you will die. Okay, so I'm telling you, you better think about doing it. And so, but it was a given. It was a given because they had all the hormones, all the the right parts to be attracted to each other, like a magnet, right? North and South Pole attract magnet, put them together, boom, right? The magnets come right together. That was a natural. That was they were designed for the fall. Okay. So when Pandora, out of curiosity, opened the lid, all of the darknesses incident to man poured out. She had only time to shut down the lid and prevent the escape of hope. So hope is what we have left after it's all said and done. That's from Smith's Classics Dictionary. Okay. So hope remained, and that's the good news. In fact, not just hope, but a promise. There was a promise by Yeshua to Hadam and Keva that at the end of time, I will come and I will deliver you. And that's what Yeshua did 2,000 years ago at the end of time, because we're no longer in time. Time is irrelevant. The world is dead. They're in the outer darkness. They have no relationship with the one above, only in covenant relationship with Yeshua in his golden age of light, which he established 2,000 years ago. Let there be light. So when the soul or individuality had possessed itself of divine spark, the law of the Supreme required that from the lower nature, earth, there should arise the emotion nature, which after being allied with the lower mind shall be the means through the temptations of desire. That's the jar. That's what it says right here. The temptations of desire is the jar. Well, what was the temptation of the desire? Well, that Adam was pretty tempting when she realized that she needed him to create life. What's the very next thing that happened after they did the deed? It said Cain was born. They had trouble. Okay. Now the fruit of their fall produced something that was not preferred. And it's also the story of Cain and Abel is also a story of what was going on in the Naga's mind, the Naga serpent being Adam. Okay, and so let me back up here. What do I back up to? They're after the jar of bringing strife. Okay, the temptations of desire, of bringing strife, suffering, and the darknesses and blindness of all kinds into the earthly soul. But hope, or the promise of soul novation, that's salvation, remains to encourage the efforts of the soul to rise. As in the case of Hadam and Keva, Adam and Eve, the higher self necessarily forbids the mind to surrender to the attractions of the lower nature. It's okay in marriage, okay? But not outside of marriage. That's the only time it's all right. And therefore, in marriage, it's not lust, okay? It is natural. It is love. It is desire, affection. And it is a great mystery because it's man and woman trying to mold themselves back together to become the one, right? They were split. They were divided. So the act of lovemaking is in essence, the mixing, to trying to embrace and then be one forever, right? That's what it represents. So in marriage, there's no guilt and there's no shame, but outside of that, then it's taboo for spirituality. So where was I here? Okay, so as in the case of Hadam and Keva, the higher self necessarily forbids the minds to surrender to the attractions of the lower nature. Nevertheless, the inevitable curiosity of the new experience brings about the fall of mind into the realm of desire and sense and the obscuration of the spiritual vibrations from above. Right. Well, if we know we're offending, then our conscience is seared and we can't look up. See Andromeda, chest, Cupid, Draupadi, Epimetheus, Eve, fall, Hephaestus, Nestor, Persephone, Prometheus, Selene, wife, and woman. Okay, so and then we're going to stay with the same topic in Philo. It was perfect marriage today for this. So let's get into Philo now, and hope you're getting your earful here because I know. Most people are not going to open up Philo. They have to. You really have to be a scholar to overcome this world, and you shouldn't leave any stone unturned. But we will give you the highlights, and that's I think really the way to go here, because there's so much. And so okay, verse 60 in Philo. This is the last part of creation. Now we kind of skip through creation here, and touched on a few things about the serpent especially, and so this turned out to be an important part as well. Don't forget, if you want to call in, you can do that. You can call in 608-566-7295 if you have a comment or question, or a word that killed us with, or a word that you want to try to figure out, or a great life history. You are welcome in to call in, all right? And we get friends calling from different parts of the world here. It's an amazing time we're in with this technology, and and we talked yesterday about the technology to kill. Nothing new. That was the job of the Celtics. They had the Celtic technology and technology to kill, and they're still using it today. Actually, they perfected it today now. So, yeah. What was it, Henry Kissinger just said, it was a long time ago when, it was easier to control 1 million people, but today it's easier to kill 1 million people, than to control them. So thank you, Hank. I appreciate those thoughts. Okay, chapter 60 on creation and Philo. And those who have, I'll lead into it, just back up one sentence here. For the mind is like wax. Oh, there you go. For the mind is like wax and receives the impressions of appearances through the sensations, by means of which it makes itself master of the body, which of itself it would not be able to do so, as I have already said. Well, I think those impressions then are what we're talking about. Impression is another title for getting the picture, right? We're trying to get the impressions that will last with us in our mind, that will then carry us down the trail of visions, okay? Because where there is no vision, people perish. You have to have visions. You have to see and read things for yourself. Where there is no, the people perish for lack of knowledge. And then, so you need to know the symbol. You need to have good, deep, solid knowledge, your foundation to stand upon, knowing that you know that you know that you know, and nobody will be able to convince you otherwise. A sovereignty in its own right. It's a sovereignty, okay? And then therefore, when it's all said and done, you don't even need paperwork if you're falling into a legal dilemma, because Yahweh, Yeshua, opens the door for you, because he wants you out. Everything is a test, and so we've got to see things with new eyes. And those who have, let me just turn on my upper light here. Hang on a minute. Okay. So and those who have previously become the slaves of pleasure immediately receive the wages of this miserable and incurable passion. Oh, wait a minute. I got to back up. I was supposed to start over here. Let me see this here. Okay, but it's juggleries, that's the death blow. So I'll back up one sentence here. But intemperance is devoted. So this is leading into what we just read about in the midst of scriptures, right? About Pandora. But intemperance is devoted to extravagance and superfluity, which are the causes of luxury and effeminacy to both soul and body, into what it is owing that in the opinion of wise men, life is but a faulty thing and more miserable than death. I know how that feels. Okay. So, but its death blow and deceit of pleasure does not venture to bring directly to man, but first offers them to the woman, and by her means to the man. You see, yeah, that's what he wanted, the woman. He says, come on, baby, we do this thing. You won't die. Don't worry about it. And she's saying, wait a minute, didn't he say that if we do this thing, we'll die? No, because the great Elohim knows that if we do this thing, then we will be creators ourselves. Just like you see those animals out there having cute little cubs and chickies, we can do the same thing. And then we will be creators like the great Elohim, And then we will also have all knowledge and all wisdom at the same time. We will be enlightened. Oh, wow. Well, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, you sure? Yeah, come on. All right. And so that's the serpent right there, ladies and gentlemen, twisting a little bit of the storyline, right? And and by her means to the man. Okay, so acting in a very natural and sagacious manner. For in the earthly beings, the mind occupies the rank of the man. Okay, so the mind represents spirit, and so it's male in both men and women, and then and the sensations that are that of the woman, and so the lower is credited to the female. Why? Because that is the sensual world, that is creation, the lower realm, and that's female. Okay, and pleasure joins itself to and associates itself with the sensations first of all, and then by their means cajoles also the mind, which is the dominant part, or at least should be. For after each of the senses have been subjected to the charms of pleasure and has learnt to delight in what is offered to it, the sight being fascinated by varieties and colors and shapes, the hearing of the harmonious sounds, the taste of the sweetnesses of flowers, and the smell of the delicious fragrances and the odors which are brought before it, these all having received these offerings like handmaids, bring them to the mind as the master, leading with the persuasion as an advocate to warn it against rejecting any of them, whatever you know you want this, and the mind being immediately caught by the bait becomes a subject instead of a ruler, enslaved, and a slave instead of a master, and an exile instead of a citizen, and a mortal instead of an immortal. That's the fall, ladies and gentlemen. That's the fall. We just read about it. For we must, although not be ignorant, that pleasure, being like a courtesan or mistress, is eager to meet with a lover, and seeks for panders in order by, or panders might be favors, I think, in order by their means to catch a lover. And the sensations are her favors or panders. I'd have to look that one up to be sure. And conciliate love to her, and she employing them as baits easily brings the mind into subjection. Right. Now we've got the pusher and the addict. Right. The woman's the pusher, and the addict needs it, and she knows how to dress herself up, and right right. And so everybody's in the fall in that game, right? And easily brings the mind into subjection to her, because she's employing the bait. And the sensations conveying within the mind the things which have been seen externally explain and display the forms of each of them, setting their seal upon a similar affection. For the mind is like wax, and receives the impressions of appearances through the sensations, by means of which it makes itself master of the body, supposedly, which of itself it would not be able to do so, as I have already said. So get the picture. And those who have previously become the slaves of pleasure immediately receive the wages of this miserable and incurable passion. For the woman having, in other words, being a slave to the serpent. For the woman having received vehement pains, partly in her travail, and partly such as are a rapid succession of agonies during the other portions of her life, and especially with reference to the bringing forth and bringing up of her little ones, to their diseases and their health, and to their good or dark misfortune, to an extent that utterly deprives her of her freedom and subjects her to the dominion of the man who is her companion. Excuse me. Finds it a unavoidable let me back up here. So to an extent that utterly deprives her of her freedom and subjects her to the dominion of the man who is her companion, finds it unavoidable to obey all of his commands. Well, she was, of course, the smaller and the weaker, and even, you know, the greater emotions and all that. That's the thing that was put on the woman. So woman is carrying the greater symbolism of the fall, even though man is in the fall. He's right there with her. We both need to be saved, but man represents the great Father of light. That's the only distinction. One is you know, represents the Father, which is spirit, and that's the mind also, as we read. And then the woman, you know, represents the emotions, the senses, and that's why women tend to be more emotional. And that's also why when you go into a room and then there's a baby in the room, right? All the women run over and see that baby, how cute it is, and the men are standing back against the wall watching the women. You know, the men don't run over and start saying, "Oh, isn't the baby cute?" You know, they don't do that, right? You know, so it's really amazing. So women get the picture, and I think that's why, you know, we seem to have more women on this program than we do men, because I think women love the truth in a way that you know, they get it, because women have had the bad rap all their life, and I think you know, and the man was supposed to bring home the truth, but the men aren't doing it. The men aren't doing it. They want the pleasure. They're playing a game. They're pretending. They're great pretenders, right? And so it's just an amazing psychology that we are confronted with in this world, ladies and gentlemen, is it not? So freedom subjects her, and and where was I at here? Providing himself, very okay, and the man in his turn endures the toils and labors and continual sweats in order to the providing of himself with necessaries, and he also bears the deprivation of all those spontaneous good things which the earth was originally taught to produce without requiring the skill of the farmer. Right, and then we had to work and plow. We could have had paradise, but instead we got, okay, Martha, you get it, right? Sure. Uh-huh. And it's good to hear this stuff because we're not getting it anywhere, and this brings it all full circle, and the truth sets us free, right? And so that's why then they had to start plowing the field, and plowing is also a symbol of, you know, sexual intercourse, because you know, it's like that, right? And so when it said that you will plow but not bring forth the yield that you were hoping for, what it meant was you're going to have little ones, and you're not going to be happy with the little ones that you bring into this world, and you're going to be crying over them, right? We brought into the world imperfect seed. That's what it meant. You'll plow, but it will not bring up. It will bring thorns and thistles, and the thorns and thistles are the things that cause us hurt. That's right. We're spilling the beans here, and they're refried. Okay, so I love refried beans. So the skill of the farmer, and he is subjected to a state in which he lives in incessant labor for the purpose of seeking for food and means of subsistence in order to avoid perishing of hunger. But there's another hunger we need to have, ladies and gentlemen, and that's a hunger for the truth. For I think that the sun and the moon do continually give light, ever since they were originally commanded to do so at the time of the original creation of the universe. And as they constantly obey the divine injunction for the sake of no other reason, but because darkness and disobedience are banished to a distance far from the boundaries of the sun. That's right. That's the outer darkness, you see, the astral, where we have to come home from. So, and the darkness introduces us to the light. That's the profound nature. That's going back to the duality again that I talk about. The darkness is what introduces us to the light. We came into the darkness first, and then we come up to the light. So in the same way, would the fertile and productive regions of the earth yield an immense abundance in various seasons of the year without any skill or cooperation on the part of the husbandman? But at present, the ever-flowing fountains of the graces of the great Olaf Haim, the great Olaf Haim, got to work on these shavors, you know. It is a work. Without any skill or cooperation on the part of the husbandman. But at present, the ever-flowing fountain of graces of the great Olaf Haim have been checked from the time when wickedness began to increase faster than the virtues, in order that they might not be supplying men who were unworthy to be benefited by them. Therefore, the race of mankind, if it had met with strict and benefiting justice, must have been utterly destroyed, because of its ingratitude to the great Olaf Haim, its benefactor and its soul, its shavor, its savior, it's the flaming sword, it's the word, the great benefactor. In the beginning is the shavor, is the word in the beginning. But the great Olaf Haim, being merciful by nature, took pity upon them and moderated. And that's what we saw in Yeshua, right? We saw the female in Yeshua. We saw the ram, we saw the female, because the female was loving, was forgiving, never condemned anyone other than the Pharisees, and that was justified. But you know, he just loved and just healed, make it better. Okay, forget the past, just don't do it again. Don't, you know, come out of the darkness. But the great Elohim being merciful in nature, took pity upon them and moderated their punishment, and he permitted the race to continue to exist. There's grace and mercy right there. But think about what these psychopaths are doing to our world right now, right? But I think the jig's up. The jig is up. Yeah, I'll go to a break after this, Lynn, and then we'll be in the Acts of Tomah. Thank you. So, but he no longer gave them food. Okay, so metaphor. What food? The truth. We were lacking the truth in the old world of darkness before Yeshua. So we can hyphenate it. He no longer gave them the real food, the manna, the munah, as he had done before from ready prepared stores, lest they were under the dominion of his blindness, satiety, and idleness, and they should become unruly and more insolent. Such is the life of those who originally were men of innocence and simplicity, and also of those who have come to prefer vice to virtue, from whom we ought to keep aloof. And in his before mentioned account of creation of the world, Moshe teaches us also that also many other things, and especially 5 most beautiful lessons which are superior to all others. In the first place, for the sake of convicting the atheist, he seed plants within us that the deity, notice the word dietai is in deity. The diet, you always have a diet, usually tied with your deity, right? That's original thought. That the deity has a real being and existence. Now, of the atheist, some have only doubted of the existence of the great Olaf Haim. Yeah, it's like saying, yeah, I think the sun exists. I'm sure there's a sun that shines light down upon us. That they don't get the picture what it means, stating it to be an uncertain thing. But others who are more audacious have taken courage and asserted positively that there is no such thing. But this is affirmed, and that would be typically to our scientists and politicians, have to be. But this is affirmed only by blood of the earth who have darkened the truth with fabulous inventions. Oh yeah. In the second place, he teaches seed plants within us that the great Olaf Haim is one, having reverence here to the assertors of the polytheistic doctrine, men who do not blush or transfer that worst of blind constitutions, ochlocracy, okay, there it is, ochlocracy, there you go. From the earth up to the sun. Ochlocracy. I've got to look that one up. I think it means the ability for a true return. At least in the lexicography of that, it seems to, or the etymology. Thirdly, he seed plants within us, as has been already related, that the world, it was created by this lesson refuting those who think that it is uncreated and external, but who thus attribute no light unto Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. In the fourth place, we learn that the world also which was thus created is one, since also the Creator is one, and he is making his creation to resemble himself in its singleness, employed all existing essence in the creation of the universe, for it would not have been complete if it had not been made and composed of all parts, which were likewise whole and complete. For there are some characters who follow that there are many worlds, and some who even fancy that they are boundless in extent, being themselves inexperienced and ignorant of the truth of those things of which it is desirable to have a correct knowledge. The fifth lesson, and this is the last paragraph here, the fifth lesson that Moshe El seed plants within us, that the great Elohim exerts his providence for the benefit of the world. For it follows of necessity that the Creator must always care for that which he has created, just as parents do also care for their little ones. And he who has learnt this not more by hearing than by his own comprehension, and has impressed on his own soul these marvelous facts which are subject of so much contention, namely that the great Elohim has a being and existence, and that the I, he who so exists, is really one, and that he, the I, has created the world, that he, the I, has created it one, as has been stated, having made it like to himself in singleness. That again represents the Shavor, the sun, the flaming sword, the great Elohim representing Yeshua and also representing Yahweh. And that he exercises a continual care for that which he has created will live a happy and baruch, that is, born of an endowment, a life born of endowment and enlightenment, stamped with the doctrines of piety and the only true anointed purity of the one. And that is Philo, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by. We'll be back right after this momentary break in the cosmos. Hope you're all doing okay today. When we get back, we'll be in the Acts of Thomas. And you are tuned in right here to the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, and the Forbidden History series. It's what they did want you to know that we tell right here, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, as you've been tuned in. And want to welcome Sunfire to our broadcast as well. And I've been going to Sunfire's sky watching channel for as long as everybody else here, basically, about 3 months now, working on that. And so welcome, Sunfire, good to have you. Wonderful nature pics he did today, unlike that pitiful sky we got to look at. It was nice to look at those deer. And I noticed they were taking pictures of you too, Sunfire, and also the squirrels, those British squirrels up there. So feel free to check out his channel, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And I'm back, okay? So we're here with the New Testament Apocrypha by Hennecke and Schneemickler. I love that one. That's out of Germany. And 2 volumes. And the second volume is big, and it's got a lot of the acts of the royal messengers, we misnomer as apostles. And okay, Diane, it was great to have you. And be well out there, okay? All the best. And keep looking up, but be safe. All right, so we're in the third act now. Concerning the serpent. That ought to be interesting. I don't remember reading this actually. I've read most of the stuff in here, but I don't see very many notes, so I don't know how far I got in here. Oh, I do see some notes here. I may have read this one time, and that was like 35 years ago, give or take. And so there's so much to read, you know. That's the thing. And I still have lost writings I haven't read yet. I've got other writings of Volshov, okay, stories of Joseph in Mitzrayim, pseudo Egypt, and I have not read them, and I should. He's got a couple books in the pseudepigrapha. Say that 3 times fast. It's 2 volume set, about 60 other books, almost 70 books of that were originally in the library in Jerusalem, but did not make it into our Old Covenant, just like the book of Jasher. Okay. And okay, the third act concerning the serpent. Don't forget, you know, you're always welcome to call in. You want to spell me for a minute, okay? You can just give us a radio check or what have you. Alrighty. So and for anyone new, in the Acts of Tolma, basically what happened is after Yeshua came back, rose from the dead. He's the comeback kid. He's alive forevermore. All power is given unto him, and so he sold Tolma to a merchant in the market, and because Tolma didn't want to go to India, and so he made a purchase with a merchant that was from India, and he said, "This is my slave. He's a carpenter. He's a builder, and I want to sell him. Do you want to buy him?" And he says, "Yes, we need to do a building project over there in India." Okay, well, I want to sell him to you. And so Yeshua took money for him and sold his slave. How about that? Isn't that a cool story? And slaves. So anyway, he goes to India, and then the rest is in the Acts of Thomas. But it's been quite an adventure so far, and it's each of them had a story, you know. And what happened to all 12 of them? And we just have a little slice of what it was like. And remember, he said, "Greater works you would do." And so when we're reading the story, we're finding out that you know, this king gave Tolma money to build a temple. Instead, he kept giving the money away, literally, you know, and to the poor, and helping the needy, and talking about the temple in the air, what we would call the New Jerusalem, because Old Jerusalem is irrelevant. Old Jerusalem was thrown into the fire. Okay, irrelevant. And so the New Jerusalem is of the mind. The paradise is of the mind. It is of the higher order. It is within the soul, within your soul, meaning also son, right? So he's building a celestial temple for the king, and when he finds out, he's ready to flay him, to peel off his skin, and also with his owner, you know. And so Thomas says, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right." And so he already knows. He knows the power of Yeshua is behind him, and he was commissioned to do this. So it's really a powerful story, and I have to admit, it's when I read it last week, I realized it was rather clearly an original Acts of Toma. Okay, really. It is, because there was so much truth in here. It was blowing my mind. Okay, so concerning the serpent, we're in verse 30 now, and the royal Malak, that's apostle, the royal, which means royal messenger. The royal Malak, apostle is postal. They're not commercial packages being shipped overseas. Okay, that's how they tricked us. And the royal Malak went out to go where the great, his healer and pure breather of light, that's the Lord, healer and pure breather of light, had commanded him. And when he was near the second milestone and had turned aside in a little from the road, he saw lying there the body of a comely youth. And he breathed, healer, pure breather of light, was it this that you had brought me out this way, that I might see this temptation? What your will be done, and then as you will. And he began to create light and to breathe. True, perfect, and complete healer and pure breather of light, the Yud-Ke, the judge of all living and of those dead out there in the outer darkness, where they're crying every day. Of the living who stand by, and of the dead who lie here. You, healer and pure breather of light of all, and great Father, Yavohe, but Father, not of the souls that are in the bodies, but those that are gone out. For of the souls that are in all pollutions, you are the healer and pure breather of light, and Yud-Ke, judge. Come in this hour in which I call upon you, and show your radiant light towards this blood of the earth who lies here. And turning to those who followed him, the eye breathed. This thing has not happened to no purpose, but the enemy has been at work and has worked this that he may make an attack thereby. And you see that he has made use of no other form and worked through no other creature than that which is his subject. And when he had said this, the great serpent came out of a hole, darting at his head and lashing his tail on the ground, and breathed with a loud voice to the royal Malak, I will say before you for what reason I slew him. For to this end are you come, to put my work to shame. And the royal Malak breathed, yes, speak on. And the serpent, there is a certain beautiful woman in this village over against us, as she once passed by my place, I saw her and fell in love with her, and following her, I kept watch on her. And as I found this young man kissing her, he had intercourse with her and did other shameful things with her. Now it would be easy for me to disclose them before you, but I dare not do it. For I know that you are the duplicate of your brother, your elder brother, the Moshiach, the Christ, and do ever abolish our nature. But not wishing to disquiet her, I did not kill him in that very hour, but watched for him. And as he came by in the evening, I smote and slew him. The more especially since he dared to do this on the healer's day of rising. The Lord's day is the classic term, and the Lord's day is Sunday because he rose on the 8th day, which was also the first day, and that's known as the Lord's day. Okay, the day of the sun, go figure. But the royal Malak questioned him, breathing, tell me of what seed and what race you are. I'm still not sure if this is a literal snake or if it's a metaphor for somebody in particular, because now he's asking him, what race are you of? And remember that in the old tongue, coming forward, a lot is lost, and we have to just stay, open to what is being said and just move on. And he breathed to him, oh, okay, well, here it is. Okay, so I am a reptile of reptile nature. Okay, so it is indeed a reptile. Okay, and baleful son of a baleful father. Wait a minute, what? I'm not sure yet. I am a son of him who hurt and smote the four standing brothers. I am son of him who sits upon the throne and has power over the creations, which is under the sky, under the sun, who takes his own from those who borrow. I am a son of him who girds that sphere about, and I am the kinsman of him who is outside the ocean, whose tail is set in his own mouth. That's the Ouroboros. He's referring to the sun, the tail and the mouth of the serpent. I am he who enters through the fence into paradise and breathed to Keva all the things of my father charged me to say to her. So he's having a vision. What's going on here? He's having a vision, and he's writing it down. That's what's going on here. Okay, I'm finally getting it. And I am he's learning a lesson. He's you know, I am the eye who kindled and inflamed Cain to slay his own brother. And because of me, thorns and thistles sprang up upon the earth. I am the eye who hurled the royal messengers down from above. Those are the watchers, those are the Aryans, the royal messengers from above, and bound them in lust for women, that earth-born seed might come to them, and I fill my will in them. So this is, let's continue here. I am the eye who hardened Pharaoh's heart, that the eye might slay the seed of Israel and enslave them in a yoke of cruelty. I am the eye who led the multitude astray in the wilderness when they made the calf. I am the eye who inflamed Herod and kindled Caiaphas to the false accusation of the lie before Pilate, for this was befitting for me. Yeah, see, it's admitting right here that what was brought before Pilate was a false accusation and a lie. Okay, they were yanking on Pilate's chain, and he knew it, and yet he couldn't get out of the catch-22 he was in. But he washed his hands, and he said, "You take them," and they did. For this was fitting for me. I am he, the eye who kindled Judas and bribed him to betray the Moshiach to death. I am the eye who inhabits and possesses the abyss of Tartarus. That's the volcano. But the seed of the sun did me wrong against my will, and chose out that. So he's has the what's appearing to him is the black serpent. Okay, it represents creation itself and how creation is being used, ladies and gentlemen, in the metaphor. Okay, that's what's going on, and chose out, okay, against my will, and chose out his own from me. Okay, chose out his own from me. So the serpent's acknowledging being in the fall. It's not the white serpent that represents the sun and the great Elohim, but it is the black serpent, the duality that plays on. I am a kinsman of him who is to come from the east, and to whom also is given power to do what the eye he will on the earth. When the serpent had breathed this in the hearing of all the crowd, the royal Malach lifted up his voice on high and breathed, "Cease now, most shameless one, and be thou put to shame and entirely done to death, for your end destruction has come, and do not dare to say what you have worked through those who have become subject to you. I commanded you in the royal title that Yeshua, who contends with you until now for the blood of the earth, who are his own, that you suck out your poison, which you did put into this blood of the earth, and draw it out and take it from him." But the serpent breathed, "Not yet is the time of our end come, as you have breathed. Why did you compel me to take what I have put into this blood of the earth and die before the time? For indeed, if my father draw forth and suck out what he cast into the creation, then is his end." But the royal Malach breathed to him, "Show now the nature of your father." And the serpent came forward and set his mouth against the young man's wound and sucked the gall out of it. and little by little the young man's color, which was purple, became white, but the serpent swelled up. But when the serpent had drawn up all the gall in himself, the young blood of the earth sprang up and stood, and ran and fell at the royal messenger's feet, the royal Malak. But the serpent, being swollen, burst and died, and his poison and gall poured out. And in the place where his poison poured out, there came a great chasm, and that serpent was swallowed up. And the royal Malak breathed to the king and his brother, send workmen and fill up that place and lay foundations and build houses on top, that it may become a dwelling place for the strangers. But the young blood of the earth said to the royal Malak with many tears, wherein have I closed my eyes against you? For you art a blood of the earth that has two forms, and wherever you will, there you are found. And you are restrained by no blood of the earth, as I see. For I saw how that blood of the earth stood beside you, and said to you, I have many wonders to show you through you, and I have great works to accomplish through you, for which you will receive a reward, and you will make many live, and they will be in rest in eternal light as the seed of light. Do you then, the eye breathed, speak to thee, speaking to you of me, the mother's eye. Receive this young blood of the earth stricken by the enemy, and become at all times his guardian. You have done well to come here, and again you will do well to depart from him, to depart to him. For indeed he never leaves you at all. But I have become free from care and reproach, and the light shone upon me, so that I am free from the care of the night, and I am rest from the work of the day. But I am free also from him who urged me to do these things. I closed my eyes against him, the one of the many, who taught me, the mother's eye, the opposite. And I have lost that kinsman of the night who compelled me to close my eyes by his own actions. But I found that figure of light to be my kinsman. I have lost him who darkens and blinds his subjects, that they may not know what they are doing, and being ashamed at their works, depart from them, and their deeds come to an end. But I found him whose works are light, and his actions truth, of which if a blood of the earth does them the eye, he does not need to rebreathe as the breath of a star to repent. Only once, of course. I have been freed from him, the one of the many, whose lie is persistent, before whom darkness goes as a veil, and behind whom follows shame, shameless inactivity. But I found him, the one of the many, who revealed to me the mother's eye, because beautiful things, that I might take hold of them, the seed of truth, the son of truth, who is the relation of concord in our origin, who, driving away the mist, enlightens his own creation. The mist, there's that mist again, the mysteries, driving away the mystery for his own creation, and healing its wounds, overthrows its enemies. But I create light before you, blood of the earth, of the great Olofheim. Make me to look upon him again, and to see him, the one of the many, who is now become hidden from me, that I may also give ear to his voice, the wonder of which I cannot express, for it is not of the nature of this bodily organ. Not of the nature of this bodily organ. Everything seems to be fitting today. But the royal Malak answered and breathed to him, if you are freed from those things of which you have received knowledge, as you have breathed, and do know who it is that has worked this in you, and did learn and become a hearer of him who now in your fervent love you seek, you will both see him and be with him forever. And in his rest you will rest, and you will be in his enlightenment. But if you be lightly disposed toward him, and turn again to your former doings and action, and let go of the beauty and that radiant countenance which now was shown to you, and to the effulgence of his light, which now you do desire, be wholly hidden from thee, being wholly hidden from you. Not only of this life shalt thou be deprived, but also of that which has now come. And if you will depart to him whom you do say you have lost, and no longer look on him whom you did say you have found. And when the royal Malik had said this, he went into the city, holding fast that young man's hand, and breathing unto him, these things which you have seen, youth, are but a few of the many which the great Elohim has. For it is not about these visible things that he brings the perfect report of the star message to us, but greater things than these the eye promises us. But so long as we are in the body, the Bodhi, we cannot spark and declare what the eye is to give to our souls. That's the great breath. If we breathe that he gives us light, this is something visible, and we possess it. And if we breathe that he gives us wealth, this both exists and is visible in the world. And we call it and do not require it. We name it and we do not require it, for it has been breathed. Hardly shall a rich man enter into the royal domain of the throne of the sun. And if we spark of the mantle of clothing which the luxurious in this life put on, it is titled and named, and it has been breathed. They who wear soft raiment are in kings' houses. And if we speak of costly banquets, concerning these we have received a command to beware of them, and not to be weighed down by intemperance and drunkenness and the cares of this life. And it is breathed, be not anxious for your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, neither for your body what you will put on. For the life is more than meat, and the body more than earthly raiment. There is another food you need to eat. There is another clothing that you need to put on, another covering, and it is the great breath of the wind and fire. And if we speak of this rest, which is temporal, judgment is appointed for this also. But we speak about the world above, about the great Elohim and his royal Malakim, the royal messengers. That's you and me. It says angels, but it's about us. Okay? Misconception, another switch out by the darkness. Okay? About the Vekoresh, the watchers and the anointed, about the ambrosial food of the drink of the true vine, about clothing that endures and does not grow old, about things which the eye has not seen nor ear heard, neither have they entered into the heart of those who are blind, which the great Elohim has prepared for those who love him. These things we discuss, and about these we bring good tidings, a perfect report. Do you also therefore follow in him, that you may live, and set in him your trust, that you will not die. For the eye, he is not persuaded by gifts that you should offer to him, nor does he need sacrifice that you should sacrifice to him. But look you to him, the one of the many, and he, the eye, will not disregard you. And turn to him, the one of the many, and he, the eye, will not forsake you. Look on him for all your needs, for acknowledge him in all your ways, for his meek nature and beauty will make you very eager to love him. But also it does not allow you to turn yourself away from him. And when the royal Malik breathed this, a large crowd joined that young man and gathered around him. But as he looked, the royal Malik saw them lifting themselves up that they might see him. And they were going up on high places. And the royal Malik breathed unto them, you blood of the earth who have come to the assembly of the Mashiach, and who wish to follow in Yeshua, take an example, a lesson from this, and see that unless you are lifted up, you cannot see me who am small. And though I am like you, you cannot observe me. If then you cannot see me, who am like you, unless you raise yourselves a little from the earth, above the earth, how can you see him, the one of the many who dwells in the height of the sky, and now is found also in the depth of this earth, unless you first raise yourselves out of your former condition and your unprofitable actions and the desires that do not live and the wealth which is left here and the possessions which comes out of the earth and grows old, and the clothing which deteriorates, and the beauty which grows old and vanishes, and indeed the entire body in which all these are stored, and which growing old becomes dust, returning to its own original state. For all these things support the body itself. Excuse me. But but follow rather in the healer, our Naga healer and pure breather of light, the serpent healer, Yeshua the Mashiach, whom we proclaim, that your hope may be in him, the one of the many, and that in him you may have life forever in a day without end, that the I may become for you a fellow traveler in this land of error, and may be a haven for you in this turbulent sea of mankind. And the I, he will be for you a spring gushing forth in this thirsty land, and a house full of food in the place of the hungry, and a rest for your shuls, your souls, and also a physician of your bodies. Then the crowd of those who had gathered together, when they heard this, wept and breathed to the royal Malach, blood of the earth of the great Elohim. We dare not say that we belong to that great Elohim who you do proclaim, because our works which we have done are alien to him, the one of the many, and not pleasing to him. But if he has compassion on us and pities us and saves us, overlooking our former actions, and frees us from the blind actions which we wrought, our blindness, we worked then when we were in error, and does not reckon them to our account, nor make mention of our former closing of our eyes, we will become his serpents, his servants, and will carry out his will to the end. But the royal Malach answered them, breathing, the I does not condemn you. He does not condemn you, nor does he count against you the blindness with which you worked while you were in error, but overlooks your transgressions with which you have done in ignorance. And I'll just lead into the next section so we see where it's going. It's called Concerning the Cult. And while the royal messenger was still standing in the highway and speaking with the crowd, a colt and an ass came and stood before him, and opened its mouth and breathed. And we'll pick it up right there. Okay, we'll pick it up right there because I see it keeps going on here. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the acts of Tolma, and the serpent is obviously the primary. We're dealing with a society that was totally superstitious, that was totally immersed. The cobra, we see the cobra big time in India. So it fits that he would have created a vision with the serpent, with all of the other people there as well, and they get the picture because those people were very primitive, very superstitious, and very religious, right? And Ninja, you're saying, Desert, you can call and share some love and giggles if you like to rest your voice after this. If you want to share some love, okay, then come on down real quick, okay, while I'm taking a break. I may have a definition here, actually. That's interesting. I thought I had a card with something on it. And Christina, good morning, and or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. And that's why we are trapped in our own bodies, or reflections is our own image, right? We're trapped in our grave. The grave is our body. It's a hell. Another word for it is hell. Another metaphor. The earth is hell. The body is hell. We're trapped there. We got to work this out. We got everything to gain and nothing to lose, because we've got to transcend. Am I sure? Do you want me to? Well, am I sure? Okay. Do I mean what I say when I say what I mean? You tell me. It's long distance calls. Are going to take a long time to get you. Come on down, Ninja. All right. So I'm assuming she's on that dial. Oh, have to leave the chat. Well, duh. Come on. Come on down. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to get into symbolism here. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go into the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary and into custom and usage. I got to turn my fan up though. Maybe Ninja will get on that phone. You rock. Just saying. Thank you, Martha. Thank you so much. You're always lifting me up. All right. Yeah, I'm reading these lost writings like for the first time, many of them, even though I've read them before. That's what's amazing. I had to, go 40 years in the wilderness to be able to really appreciate the ability to transliterate them as I'm reading, because all translations, all transliterations are weak in some degree. And thank you. Yeah, you got a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code. Anybody that wants a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, go to therealpublicradio.net, the real publicradio.net. You'll see the PayPal button there. Any size donation to help. We want to publish the book for the prisoners, the Book of Wisdom, and I've already finished it. It's still on my other computer, but we need to be able to hire, computer tech, and also to publish the book, and then everybody can get a hard copy here as well. So, right, and if you don't have funny money, then just let me know. We'll be glad to get you a PDF. Okay. I'm Da Vinci Code Virgin. Virgin? The missing the R? Vegan? I'm a Da Vinci Code vegan or a virgin? I'm not sure. Vegan. Vegan. I don't know. You tell me. And we've got online here from down under, or is it over? Ninja Cat. Good to have you, Ninja.
Hello.
And
Sorry, can I?
and so what's tugging at you today?
Sorry?
What's
I missed that.
Yeah, I see it's virgin. Up. Thank you, Martha. Okay, got it right. And so what's tugging at you? I'm sorry? Ninja.
I can't understand you. Can you translate?
What's tugging at you? What's okay, I'm using that's why they call them idioms, okay? I'm just what do you have on your mind today?
Oh, okay.
You get that. Okay, good. She's speaking a foreign language. I'm speaking a foreign language. What can we say? She speaks Australian. I speak Pig American. Go ahead.
You speak properly. I speak lazy. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to give you a voice break and say that, I don't know. I said in the chat, the whole wows and giggles right now, which is what I want to express. It's amazing. Like, I just want to say, Desert, what you're doing here is awesome, and it's working. I'm the last person that would have thought that I could feel so amazing. I want to share so much love, and I can just laugh at everything, and that's giving me strength. And I just want everyone to know that if you really, really want the truth and you really, really want to go home, hang out here because it's working. It really is. So there you go. That's my little.
Wow. Well, I remember a bit of your story, and you had a pretty rough past, and you studied a lot of dark stuff as well, and then somehow what you're saying is through the broadcast you've actually had your own conversion, and I'm overwhelmed by this story, and pinching myself and giving thanks to the Father, and while you're going up to a higher level, it brings me up to a higher level at the same time. We're constantly going up, but I'm inspired, you know, inspired.
Yeah, well, that makes sense too. But
Yes.
we come together and we help each other.
Yes, and in
we
fact
keep
you,
going up.
yeah, and in fact you're on the quest for good reading material, and you've discovered on the internet a PDF for the Peshitta, which is the Aramaic Bible from the Eastern text written in English by George Lamson from 1933, and you found it and got me the link today. So if anybody wants that, just get with me after the program. Okay, and I'll be glad to forward that to you. Alrighty, my contact page or email is on the contact page on therealpublicradio.net, and just hit me up and scroll to the bottom. You'll see my email, and then just yeah, I'll be glad to forward that to you. Alrighty, and you can get the download that thing downloaded okay, and opens up okay.
Yeah, oh good. It was very fast, and then my phone stopped working. But yeah.
Oh, it's okay. So it kind of.
Problems with my phone all afternoon. But yeah, that was fine. It downloaded and opened up really quickly. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'll be checking that out. I just clicked on it and it did go to the website, so I didn't do anything else beyond that. So okay. So wonderful, Ninja Cat. Thank you for your call, and I hope things are going to continue. Just keep climb that mountain. It's such a beautiful view from the top of a mountain, and you'll be in the clouds at the same time. That's the metaphor of the scriptures, that we would be in the clouds with Yeshua. Well, how can we be in the clouds? That's a hard thing to do, but not when you're on top of a mountain. We're going to be on the highest mountain, looking out below, and then ultimately we transcend this world, and we're and it's all a distant memory, and maybe we won't even remember. I wonder. That's an interesting thought. So okay, so Ninja, thank you, and I'm gonna. You know what happened? You just caused me to remember that I've got to read the original gospel, and that was my next move. So so thank you for your call, and give me the break because it allowed me to think for a minute. Okay?
Yes. Lucky I gave you a break.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All righty.
That's what I'm here for.
We'll talk to you back on the chat. Peace and love.
All right. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Love you guys.
Love you too. Bye-bye. Okay, and so just remember, if I have an audio problem or if the stream drops or anything, I will need a call, because when I open this up, I'm not going to see the chat at all, okay? But I'm just reading the last part of the sample of the original gospel I'm working on, bringing in all the fragments from the lost writings, and making one complete gospel, like a novel, just like somebody writes a novel, putting all of the elements back together, because they're all fragmented, and we've got to have the story brought back. So this is chapter 9 in the Transfiguration of Yeshua. And after 6 days, when, oh, wait a minute, you're gonna watch with me, aren't you? Okay, let me minimize this. I forgot. Let me set it up here. Okay, so I got to turn on the share to desktop. Let me see here. How's this gonna work? Desktop? Okay. I'll get it one of these days, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by. All right, here we go. Boom. All right, and then another boom. There we go. Okay, so after 6 days, when the festival of the tabernacles was close by, close by. I've really got to get some new glasses here. I can't get over it. After 6 days, when the festival of the tabernacles was close by, Yeshua took Kephe, Yaakov, and Yochanan, and led them up into a very high mountain, set apart and alone. Then, as he was creating light, the quality of his being entered into a transformed state, all right before their very eyes. And so I want to qualify this, friends, because I didn't remember what I was reading here. This is, for the most part, made up of the gospel that came out of Tibet. Okay, a very wonderful and big gospel that you've never read before, called the Gospel of the Perfect Life. Okay, it was not adulterated by the Vatican the way most of them are, and this is the whole story of the transformation. You're going to see what they took out of our scriptures. This is a mind blower right here, okay? Get ready. Get ready. Sit back and enjoy. Okay, so then his face began to shine. Let me back up. So the quality of his being entered into a transformed state, all right before their very eyes. Then his face began to shine as bright as the sun, all trimmed in gold. And his robe, it became all bright white, whiter than snow, as the light of a star, with a brightness beyond any bleaching that men could ever make on earth. And there appeared before them Moshe'el and Eliah, standing there and speaking with Yeshua. Then Moshe'el spoke up, "This is the eye of the one who I foretold about by breathing, a navigator, from the center of my brothers, who, very much like me, will the self-existent Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, send to you. And whatever the self-existent Yahweh breathes in him, that he will breathe in you. And to him you must listen. But whoever will not follow nor obey will bring upon himself his own utter destruction." Excuse me. Then Kephe breathed before Yahshua, "Seed planter, it must be better for us if we were to stay here. So if it is all right with you, let us make 3 leaning shelters, one for you, one for Moshe'el, and one for Eliah, the enlightened eye that goes round." Now he actually really didn't know what to say, since he was utterly terrified by all of this. Yet while he was still speaking, you must see and read it for yourself. There was a very bright round cloud that overshadowed them, and 12 rays from the sun issued out from behind that cloud, beaming off in every direction, when a voice came out from behind the cloud that breathed, "This is my only loved seed." His only loved seed. Get the picture. We have to be in Yeshua to be only loved. "This is my only loved seed and son, in whom I find my delight." You need to open up your minds and give him your ears. Hear him. Then when the truth seekers, the Mathaim, heard this, they all fell down on their faces to the ground and were dumbstruck with astonishment. Yeshua then walked over and touched them, breathing, "Stand up and don't be afraid." Then when they all lifted up their eyes and looked around, they could see no one but Yeshua standing alone with them, while the 6-pointed rays of light of creation were still emanating from his head, just as it occurred with Moshe'el returning from the mountain and carrying the law. Then Yeshua breathed before them, "The new shelter of the pure law I now hand over and pass on to you, which is not new but old, being from the beginning, as even as Moshe'el gave the 10 judgments to Yeshariel because of the flesh. So I now pass on to you 12 pure shelters for the royal domain in the great house of the sun, the shalom, the sounds of the royal creation in peace and love, the realm of spiritual Yeshariel in the pure breath of the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit." And so this is like a recreation, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when Moshe'el was in the wilderness, he went up and climbed the mountain, and he gave them the law, but it wasn't the law that they were supposed to receive, right? They couldn't receive it. And so here now we have again Yeshua going up to receive the law, and now he's delivering it to Peter, James, and John. Okay, so this is what was supposed to be received by Moshe'el, but it was only a type. It was an archetype, but this is now the original, and this is what was first, but comes last. And who are the true spiritual Eshoriel of Yahweh? Only those who in every nation and tribe works perfection within the pure shelter of the Trevane law, or perfection in the light. You have to work in perfection in the light. Love, mercy, and keep my pure judgments. These are the true spiritual Eshoriel of Yahweh. And then standing upon his feet, Yeshua sparked by breathing. Give ear, true, perfect, and complete Eshoriel. Now he's talking about spiritual Israel. It's no longer physical. All right, physical Israel disappeared a long time ago, and now this is the new deal that Jeremiah brought in. Remember, at the end of Jerusalem, Jeremiah made a transaction, and then he talked about how in the future that there would be a pure Israel. That's what this is. It's not Israel. It's Esha Re'el. It means the royal eye of enlightenment. That's what we are to receive, is the royal eye of enlightenment, the ability to see and read it for ourselves, to know all things, to see clearly all things as they truly are. That is the Esha Re'el. It's not a city. It's not a building. It's not a people. It is a state of being. Give ear, true, perfect, and complete Esha Re'el. Yahweh, who is one eye. One eye. And that's what we need. We need his eye. Many are my navigators. Now, within me, everyone moves, breathes, has their sustenance and their support. Their substance and their support. 1. You will not take away the life of any creature for your own pleasure, not for profit, not at all for any sort of torment or torture. 2. You will not steal the possessions of any, nor gather up lands and riches for yourselves, that which is beyond your own need for use. 3. You will not eat the flesh, nor drink the blood of any slaughtered creature, nor yet anything else that would bring any disorder to your health or senses. 4. You will not create an impure marriage, where the divine love and sound health cannot be properly maintained, nor shall you pollute yourselves in any way, nor anyone else that has been made pure by the anointing of truth. So only the anointed with the anointed, in other words. It's missing a word here, nor with anyone else. Okay. 5, you will not present a false witness against anyone, nor willfully deceive anyone by a lie or by any deceit of omission which causes harm. 6, you will not do to others those things that you would not want others to do to you. And I don't know how I got 6 again here. It'd be A and B then, okay? You shall only pay homage. You will only homage it's actually homage. It's the homage. It's the sound, the eternal sound, and is what it means. And going back to the original, is it the eternal sound, right? You will only homage the androgynous one, Yahweh, the great mother father, who rule from the throne of the Son, from whom are all things visible and invisible. There you go, male, female, visible, female, invisible, male. And completely reverencing their sacred title of Yahweh and Yahshua. 7, you will respect your fathers and your mothers on the earth, whose care is for you, as well as of all the seed planters, of the perfection in righteousness, which is perfection within the pure shelter of the Trevane law of light, the Trevane light, the divine light, the perfection in light. 8, you will nurture and protect the weak and all of those who are oppressed, and all of earth's creatures who suffer wrong. 9. You will work with your hands the things that are excellent, right, and most fitting. 10. You will eat the fruits and herbs of the earth in order to live long upon the land. 11. You will purify yourselves daily and rest on your healer's 8th day of his return, which is also the first day, the day of the sun, keeping pure the eternal rest and the feast, the festival of your Yahweh, and is the one eye alone. 12. You will do for others what you would have all others do for you. Then when the Methaim, the truth seekers, heard these shavors, they held their fists tight to their hearts while breathing. How we have offended true, perfect, and omnipotent Yahweh, giver of endless light, who is the great Elohim of all creation. Please forgive us, and may your wisdom in wise judgment travain love and truth from the tree's root that is hiding deep within us. Incline our hearts only to love completely and hold the chakra pure shelter as the pure and travain law of light. Then Yeshua breathed before them. My shoulder yoke is equal for all of my burden. It is light. Let me try that again. My shoulder yoke is equal for all, and my burden, it is light. So if you desire to carry it, for you it will be an easy yoke. Lay no other burdens on those who wish to enter into the royal house of pure judgment of light, except for these necessary rules. This is the new shelter, which is the original, for the true Yisrael of Yahweh, giver of endless light. And this pure shelter is hiding within, and this is the shelter of the pure love. And it is not new, but it is the most ancient from the beginning. Should be capital T and B. Be careful that you add nothing to this pure shelter, nor should you take anything away from it. It is true throughout all time that I breathe before you. Those who follow and obey this pure shelter will be redeemed, saved. But those who know it and will not obey it, they will be lost. But as in Hadam, all are dead and die, so in the Atom Mashiach, all will be made alive. All are made alive. Aleve, alive is something in there I'm not remembering. Away through the light and eye of the bridge. But the disobedient will be purged through the many trials by fire, and those who persist in wrongdoing will descend to the grave to be lost, yet for another generation. Then as they were coming down from out of the mountain, he instructed them not to tell anyone about what they had seen until the seed of the Atom had risen and then returned from the dead. So they kept all of these great events to themselves, but they still discussed this privately among themselves as to what this returning from the dead actually meant. And if you don't get the picture, that is the great return, the great coming back, returning from the dead. What better comeback could there be? And they say, he's coming back. He's not here. He didn't come back. What are you talking about? And then just these are the articles and protocols I'm working on that follow. It's real short. I'll read just the first part of it. At that time, after Yeshua had risen from death, he stayed nearly 90 days with Mary, his mother, and Mary of Magdala, who anointed his body, along with Mary of Cleophas, and the 12, along with their closest followers, instructing them and answering all questions concerning the royal domain in the great house of the sun. And as they all sat down for supper, when it was now evening, Maria of Magdala asked him a question, breathing, Mother Star, will you now declare and give to us the order and protocols of the royal domain in the great house of the sun? And then Yeshua answered and breathed, it is the truth throughout all time that I now breathe before you, true and complete Mare, and to each, all and any of my truth seekers, the royal domain in the great house of the sun is within you. But the time has now come when that which is within must be revealed in what is without, for the sake of the world, for the witness of the world. Order indeed is excellent and required, and in front of all things is the travain love. You must love one another and all of the creatures of Yahweh, who is Elohe. And by this will all blood of the earth know that you are my truth seekers. Then someone asked him, breathing, Mother Star, would you have it that infants be received into the gregation, not congregation? I looked it up in Webster's 1828, and it's called gregation. So what modern religion gave us is the congregation, because a gathering of religious people is a gregation. Okay? They're in the vesica Pisces in the middle, the gray. Okay, so in the gregation, in the same manner. Okay, so let me try that again. Would you require that infants be received into the gregation in the same manner as the Moshe commanded by circumcision? And Yeshua breathed, for those who are in the body of the Moshiach, there is no cutting of the flesh, nor the shedding of any blood. Let the infants 8 days old be dedicated unto the great Father Mother, who rules from the throne of the Son. That's the androgynous Mother Father, the Spirit, with prayer and giving of thanks, and let a proper title, name, be given it by its parents officially, and then let an elder anoint its head with olive oil of the truth, according to that which is written in the Navigators, and let its parents see to it that it is brought up in the ways of perfection within the pure shelter of the travain law, the law of light, the perfection of light, neither eating flesh, nor drinking strong drink, nor hurting the creatures which Yahweh hath given into the hands of blood of the earth to protect. Again, one breathed unto him, Mother Star, how will thou, what would you have us do when they grow? This is still a rough draft. I hadn't worked on this part here. This is an older version, so I'm stumbling here. Again, one breathed unto him, Mother Star, what would you have us, how would you then have us raise them? And Yeshua breathed. After 7 years, or when they begin to know the darkness from the light, the sun versus the moon, and learn to choose the light, let them come unto me and receive the Baruchem, being born of the endowment and of the enlightenment, with a mind's eye foreseeing in the night at the hands of a presbyter, or of the royal Malach, of the circle of the perfect called out ones, with the creation of light and thanksgiving, giving of thanks, and let them be admonished to keep from flesh eating and strong drink, and from hunting the innocent creatures of Yahweh, for they will be lower than the horse or the sheep, to whom these things are against nature. And again he breathed, the eye breathed. If there come to us any that eat the flesh and drink strong drink, shall we receive them? And Yeshua breathed unto him, let such abide in the outer court till they cleanse themselves from these grosser darknesses. For till they perceive and then rebreathe of these, they are not fit to receive the higher mysteries. Okay, so that's why even in the Greeks, right? Paul said, they all agreed that they could eat meat, but not the blood. So they found a middle ground because they didn't want to deny people the kingdom of heaven just for eating meat. But there's the levels of perfection. The Essenes did not eat meat; they were of the highest plateau, and so we can work our way up to the highest plateau as we grow up in the Mashiach. We will want to be closer to him as we continue to grow, right? So 9, and another asked him, breathing, when will you that they receive the immersion? And Yeshua answered, and I just want to back up for a minute, and I just remember that one scripture of Paul as well. He says that some think they can eat meat, others think they can only eat herbs. But let not the one who thinks he can eat meat take the liberty to eat his meat in front of someone who only eats herbs, all right, to offend them. That would be an offense because they have dedicated themselves to the higher level. They don't want to kill animals nor eat meat. So we see there's a tolerance within this because it was an important issue of debate, and they agreed that people could eat meat. But what Yeshua is presenting here is the ultimate plateau, okay? To not eat meat because there's plenty of vegetation to go around, and you don't have to kill animals to live. And so it shows the divine love and mercy, the Travain love and mercy for all creation and all of life. Okay? So, and another asked him, saying, when would you that we should receive baptism? The alphabetator state. The alphabetizer. And Yeshua answered, after another 7 years, or when they know the doctrine. So that's 14. And that's when Yeshua left for India. That's when Mary got married. She came out of the temple service, married Volshep at 14. They became adults at 14. Can you imagine the potential we lost when we were raised on the stupid schools we went to, filled with their pablum, and these little ones and back then became, enlightened creatures? Even here in Amish country, they don't go past 8th grade. Then they're ready to get married, So it's really amazing how different times are we in today. And Yeshua answered, after another 7 years, or when they know the doctrine and do that which is perfect, and learn to work with their own hands, and choose a craft whereby they may live, and are steadfastly set on the right path, then let them ask for initiation, and let the royal messenger of light, or the presbyter of this perfect circle of the called out ones, examine them and see if they are worthy, and let them offer thanksgiving and the creation of light, and bury them in the waters of separation, that they may rise to the newness of life, confessing Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, as their father, mother. Remember, we were told to honor the mother and the father, both. And because from the father is the mother, the woman came out of the side of the father because they were one and are one, vowing to obey the only true anointed, pure shelter, the Travain law, and keep themselves separate from the blindness and darkness of the world. And another asked him, Mother Star, at what time shall they receive the anointing? And Yeshua, that be the anointing of truth. That's the anointing. There is no other kind of anointing. The anointing is truth, as defined in 1 Yochanan 2:27. And Yeshua answered, when they have reached the age of maturity and manifested in themselves the sevenfold gifts of the great breath of the wind and fire, then let the royal messenger offer creation of light and giving of thanks, and seal them with the seal of the anointing. It is perfection that all be tried in each degree 7 years. Nevertheless, let it be unto each according to their growth in the travain, love, and the wisdom of wise judgment of the great Elohim in Yahweh, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got the dictionary down here that just past that we got 100 pages, about 100 pages of my modern. This is no longer called the Real Da Vinci Code per se. It's just an etymological dictionary for the translation project. So I think it's probably going to be called the Original Thought Dictionary, you know. And so a lot here. And again, if you want to get a copy, any size donation, go to therealpublicradio.net. Get it to you today on PDF format sometime after the broadcast. And if you don't have the funny money, just let me know, and I'll be glad to get you a copy anyway, okay? So there you go. Got a lot of good graphics in here as well. Here, look at this, okay? Here's to show you how the priesthood's been controlling things, all right? Right here on page 27 in the dictionary, we've got in Aramaic up at the top the word AD, the root of Adam, which is ADM, reading from the right to left. But then when you switch it out, flip it over, and then reverse it to the left to the right, you actually see the real essence of the letters, which is the ADM. So not only did they reverse the letters, but they flipped the letters over at the same time to show how they were manipulating the alphabet from the beginning, because they told us that this is the bull. When you flip it over, you see it's really the pyramid with the V below it, the lower pyramid, like in our modern A. Looks just like our modern A, and it creates the two pyramids or triangles coming together in the AV. So it's Adam, it's ADM, the prime root, mother, parent root, and then we add the vowels and we get Adam, A-D-A-M. One vowel makes it complete. So there's the code system right there, the evidence of the code system that it started a long time ago. As soon as they began writing, they didn't want the slaves to know how to read, and so they played the tricks on us, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And I have lots of good discussion on here about the meaning of the letters in the alphabet, just symbols. It's big, okay? If you've noticed, I'm pretty well a glutton for punishment here, and I just it's been a long journey, a long time trying to perfect, this work. Here's an important. Of course, you can stop your screen if you're watching this on the replay. You can stop and read this definition right here. It's what they didn't want you to know, friends, but we will tell it right here because we have to. We have to make sense out of things, don't we? And I forget what our picture. Oh, it was the wave. We'll go to Antarctica now, okay? And so, yeah. And what's our time window here? Okay, right at the top. Well, okay, real quick. I'll just close with the custom and usage. Let me think here. Now, how about I'm all talked out, but I'm going to just do a couple words that kill real quick, okay? Because I know y'all like to hear those words that they killed us with, and it'll go quick here, and then we'll call it a wrap. All right. Glad you're all tuned in right here to the broadcast. We're making history, being a part of history, and okay, Martha, you're saying finding this presentation format very helpful, even share and reading. Screen share and reading, and also comments, explanation. Thank you, very good. And yeah, it's been a long, drawn out process. Okay, oh geez, you couldn't have paid me to go down the trail. It's just by the grace of the Father that I didn't know what the next turn would bring, and so if I knew what the next turn was going to bring, I would have ran the other way. Okay, because it's been a tough road. But the road of learning is hard knocks, and so but the beauty is out of it comes the fruit of life. Good morning, Barb out there in Arizona, Tucson. Good to have you. So the name, real quick, we're going to talk about name. What's in a name? This is out of the book, The Piracy of Words, that I had drafted. I'll never publish. So what's in a name? The word, according to Black's 4th edition, implies a trust and or corporation. So if you claim that you have a name, you are admitting corporate status. Mr. Fiction. What you truly hold but don't know how to deal with on Let's Make a Deal, the corporate ringer is title. Title, correct spelling with the is Tital. Actually, it may be total. Total. I just saw that. But title is maybe the corrupt form. Title, Tital. Correct spelling with with the father at the ending. The al represents the father, because everything came from the Father. So title, highest title would be with the Father. Title as it sounds, tit, meaning the highest point, as in the Grand Tetons. See the word tit. The 2 T's for the sun and moon, way up there. The word name, go see. For the word name, go see the definition for N, means that which came down. Okay, in other words, it's in the lowest point. In fact, it came all the way down into the mud, which is another word for sin. That's the mud they put on the mortarboard and put in your eyes, where there is no real light. Name being moon backwards. That's true. Name is moon. The anagram for moon is name, meaning the seed of the moon, of the darkness and not of the light. That's why we have to go up the mountain, because we're down at the bottom. And so these look at the rules of anagram, and okay, class dismissed. See standing versus status, title versus title, title versus tital. Natural means untouched and unadulterated by man. See Black's 6th edition, but of course we know natural means nothing today on a food label, right? Nothing. Natural could mean garbage or oil or petrochemical or anything they want to make up as natural. They call it natural. So organic certainly is more preferred today, and I don't think they got to that one yet. So, but natural person, that's an oxymoron. Person implies corporate status. Person is an anagram for serpent, by the way. That's what they're calling us. You see, they're telling us again. What is the difference between a corporation and a natural corporation? I don't think anything. See, I rest my case. KS is not Kansas. It is all in the mind. And Nebraska, I guess I'll end with this one. An anagram for Aksarbin. Okay, spell it backwards. It's an anagram for Aksarbin, a Muslim chieftain who enslaved Christian women, kidnapped on the high seas, and made them a part of his harem as sex toys, sex slaves. Aksarbin Day is celebrated once every year by the Freemasons in Omaha, Nebraska, working to bring the rest of those haters of Christians in to participate in the coming slaughter. And in order to be a Shriner, you have to agree that Allah is God. Chevrolet, baseball, apple pie, and a Muslim in your eye. The Muslims don't even know that their true religion was created by the Vatican, all in order to destroy the true Christianity of the East, where Christ didn't say, "Why have you forsaken me?" He said, "This is my chosen destiny." Story again for another definition. See, you have been lied to again, and they really are having a party on you and me. Aksarbin Day. So sick they are, ladies and gentlemen. And you just got the forbidden history right here. It's what they didn't want you to know, right? Of course. But we tell it right here because we've got nothing better to do. They took everything from me. They took, and they're trying to take the rest that I have, and including my life. They have that in their mind. You can be sure, because they've got nothing better to do. But that's okay, because I'm under covering of the pure shelter of Yeshua, the one who made all things. There is only one power, ladies and gentlemen, and it is the light. And you know who the light is, don't you? That's right, Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, the one of the many. And they out there, are in the darkness and they have no power, only a perceived power. A jackboot and a gun and a little tin badge that makes them feel so important. Thank you, Lynn, for the hearts. And yeah, and tomorrow, y'all love, we'll be back, and also we'll be doing something special. I said I'd want to do something special on Sundays, so no words and no worries from down under. Thank you, Ninja. So that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your comments as well, Martha. Thank you for your sacrifice and continuing to spill the beans and refry those beans. Oh yeah, we'll keep refrying them, cooking up a storm, because I love those beans, and that's what we got to do. We got to make lemonade out of lemons, and I love lemonade, and I hate eating lemons, if you know what I mean. So we'll put the sweetener in there, and it'll purify our body. Actually, that's what that lemon does. Okay. And Sunfire, glad you stopped by, and check his channel out. Okay, he really shows some profound graphics and throws in a little nature, and I like that. We need a little diversion. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the truth, you know the answer. You need to look for the Forbidden History right here, 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. I'm your host, Desert Owl. Thank you for tuning in. I want to welcome all our new listeners always, and nice meeting you new ones that pop in. And thank you, Barb, as well, for stopping by. And anyone who I missed, of course. And be safe out there, okay? Be safe out there. We're not in Kansas anymore, but the truth was we never were we? I don't think so. Story for another day.